Bitter criticism. There's no Elanus leucurus now, right now, I guess. A very remarkable place to watch, to how it calls bird watch, yeah, or something. Bird watch. My favorite is Elanus leucurus. Is remarkable specimen, species, remarkable species. He just floated in the air like there was no gravity, not nothing. Next life, I want to be a Elanus leucurus. Yeah, just to float. Just to float. And here we go. Bitter criticism. Bitter criticism against the world, yeah. I'm recording with the Huawei cell phone because this one, the Android Galaxy A12 from Samsung, this very cell phone over here, the My Galaxy, is interdicted by the CIA. Yeah, the CIA is trying to catch me. But who knows? In order to catch me, I strongly recommend you to do it quickly, because social revolution in Chile is going to grow and grow. And Chile will be a Soviet state if you don't stop me. No, just joking. I guess Chile is done. Yeah, this is the truth. Chile is done. You made it. Neoliberalism made it. Neoliberalism, they made a society absolutely platonist. These people only care about consumerism, about the Heideggerian being. The being is a consumerist one. These people believe 100% about fashion. They only care about fashion. That's it. If you dress something that's so important for your social life and for your life, the way you dress, and that's it. The way you talk and the way you dress. Oh, Pepe Escobar just made a program on TV 24/7. I'm watching the Pepe Escobar Telegram. From a post from Global Resistance News. Jonathan something. If this doesn't warm you, if this doesn't warm your heart and heal your sorrows, nothing will. Mighty Hezbollah Mokawamian, who have suffered extensive injuries in the Tuesday and Wednesday massacres, thank Allah SWT for their wounds. What? For their wounds? I have a small battery here in this cell phone. I have just 10%, so I guess the battery will be over in, I guess, 20 minutes, I guess. Or maybe it will explode. A Xiaomi cell phone, who knows? Who knows? I'm going to die right here in front of my dogs. Dogs cannot help me. These dogs will definitely run away. Mursi will run desperately. If for their wounds, vowed to hit the front and enter Palestine the moment they heal, reaffirmed their love for Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, HA, defied the Jews, and pledged to never abandon Gaza. The swords of Iman Ali, AS, Iman Hussein, AS, and Lady Fatima as Sarah, AS, will cut again. What? Will cut again. So yeah, video. I'm going to try to find an article. I'm trying to find an article here in Pepe Escobar Telegram all about war. Pepe Escobar, Eurasia and multipolarity. On September 26, Biden will meet with Zelensky, who will present his victory plan, which is based on a complete Russian capitulation, just like the previous so-called peace plan. Spoiler, both these plans are 100% unrealistic. We know the points. Here they are. That's what all the demagoguery about the second peace summit with the participation of Russia and China is about. All the points are painted with the responsibilities and an area of responsibilities of all countries that thought that the security guarantee agreements they signed with Ukraine were just declarations. Now Washington and London will force the signatory countries to do all this. The main purpose of the plan to being the Russian Federation economically by imposing new secondary restrictions on the work of banks around the world, to strangle the countries of the global south, to force them to refuse to purchase oil through a shadow tanker fleet, with the threat of arrest of all officials and their family members. Abroad for aiding the Kremlin. The second goal is even sweeter: to bring the whole world to its knees. Two secondary sanctions. 1. Permission to strike at critical infrastructure facilities deep into Russia. 2. Attacks on military units and places of permanent deployment of units of law enforcement agencies. 3. Carrying out terrorist attacks on Russian soil. 4. Attacks on power plants and generation facilities. 5. Further confiscation of officials property in the West. 6. The embargo on the supply of medicines, medical equipment, and components for their production from Asian and Latin American countries to the Russian Federation. 7. Termination of purchases of Russian gas by all EU countries. 8. The embargo of the issuance of visas to all citizens of the Russian Federation, except for short-term ones. It's exploding. My cell phone is exploding. Just kidding. But yeah, unfortunately I don't have views. But that's the whole truth. My cell phone can explode any moment. Tommy! Further confiscation of official property in the West 6. The embargo of the supply of medicines, medical equipment, and components for their production from Asian and Latin American countries from the Russian Federation. 7. Termination of purchases of Russian gas by all EU countries. 8. The embargo of the issuance of visas to all citizens of the Russian Federation except for short-term ones up to 1 month. 9. Secondary restrictions for countries in Asia and the Middle East, where the daughters of Russian companies do business. 10. The issuance of ICC warrants for a pool of Russian current officials and employees to narrow the window of opportunity to establish ties with countries that have not joined the sanctions policy. 11. Actively check all citizens of the Russian Federation who have a residence permit of the allied countries and create lists of good Russians, those who want to be slaves of the Western globalist elites, and further restrictions for bad Russians, those who defend the sovereignty and the interests of their country. I guess right now I'm a bad Italian. I am a bad Italian. 12. The approved transfer of gold reserves by the UN General Assembly to the balance of the Ukrainian Peace Fund, in case Moscow refuses peace talks according to the Zelensky formula. 13. The supply and guidance of long-range weapons from air carriers to all targets approved by the Pentagon. 14. A ban on ships flying the Russian flag entering all EU ports. 15. Measures of sanctions pressure on Belarus and members of the Lukashenko family in order to seize the country or ignite a civil war to enlarge the conflict. According to the classics, peace is war. Peace is war, yeah. From Lao Tse, I guess, yeah. The art of war. That I didn't got too much. Biden will meet with Zelensky, who will present his victory plan. Yeah, that was the Zelensky's victory plan. Terrible. Yeah, there's available. If you talk Portuguese, if you understand Portuguese, there's another video from Pepe Escobar on TV 24/7 available. Look, and says, Afghanistan versus Russia, Israeli terror on Lebanon, in Lebanon. A crucial podcast, one of the most crucial podcasts in 2024. I'm just trying to catch the latest article on Pepe Escobar Telegram. Well, there's another from the very Telegram, the Telegram itself. You know what? A quick thing to do is this. I'm going to share my internet with myself, and I will try to see the post, the direct post on Telegram. The direct post on Telegram. But I do want to see some article. Trying to find some article here. So what I'm going to do is try to find some article, and then I'm going to read this direct post from Telegram. I guess I started to read this from Strategic Culture, or maybe not. I don't remember. No, I printed, but I didn't read. Strategic Culture Foundation. This ain't no war. This ain't no war. This ain't no war. World Trip. This is a war of terror. A war of terror. Pepe Escobar, September 18, 2024. And Russia is fighting an existential war for the survival of the motherland. What it has done repeatedly over centuries. There's a music, I guess. This ain't no party, this ain't no disco. This ain't no fooling around, no time for dancing or lovely dovey. I ain't got time for that now. Talking Heads live during wartime. Maybe the music I know with aim is there's ain't no mountain high enough. But I guess this is not this case. There's ain't no mountain high enough. First, we had the action. President Putin, cool, calm, collected, warns that any attack on Russia with long-range NATO missiles will be an attack of war. Then we had reaction. NATO rats scurrying back to the gutter in haste for now. All that was a direct consequence of the Kursk debacle. A desperate gamble. But the state of things in the proxy war in Ukraine was desperate for NATO until it became crystal clear. It's all basically non-recoverable. So there are two options left. Ukraine's unconditional surrender on Russian terms, tantamount to NATO's complete humiliation, or escalation to all-out war, italics mine, all-out war with Russia. The US, but not the UK, ruling classes. The US, but not the UK, ruling classes seems to have registered the essence of Putin message. If NATO is at war with Russia, quote, then bearing in mind the change in the essence of the conflict, we will make appropriate decisions in response to the threats that will be posed to us. End of quote. Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov was ominously more precise. Quote, the decision has been made. The carte blanche and all indulgences have been given to Kiev. So we, Russia, are ready for everything, and we will react in a way that will not be pretty, as the UK said. NATO de facto at war with Russia. For all practical purposes, NATO is already at war with Russia. Non-stop reconnaissance flights, high-precision strikes on airfields in Crimea, forcing the Black Sea Fleet to relocate out of Sevastopol. These are only some instances with, quote, permission to strike as far as 500 kilometers deep into inside Russia. Deep into Russia. And a list of several targets already submitted by Kiev for approval. Putin has clearly stated the obvious. Russia is fighting an existential war for the survival of the motherland. That what it has done repeatedly over centuries. The USSR suffered 27 million losses and emerged from World War II stronger than ever. That demonstration of willpower is in itself scares the collective West to death. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, whose Taoist patience seems to be exhausting, added some color to the big picture, drawing from the English literature. Quote, George Orwell had a rich imagination and historical foresight, but even he could not imagine what a totalitarian state would look like. He described some of its contours, but failed to penetrate the depths of the totalitarianism that we now see within the framework of the rules-based order. I have nothing to add. The current leaders in Washington who suppress any dissent have outdone him. This is totalitarianism in its purest form. Lavrov concluded that, quote, they are historically doomed, yet they don't really have the guts to provoke a World War III. Trademark cowards can only resort to an. Just 1 second. Trademark cowards can only resort to a war of terror. Here are some instances. The SVR, Russian Foreign Intel, discovered a Kiev plot to stage a Russian missile attack on a hospital or kindergarten on Kiev-controlled territory. The objectives include raising the collapsed morale of the AFU, justify the complete removal of any restrictions on deep missile strikes inside the Russian Federation, and attract support from the global South, which overwhelmingly understands what Russia is doing in Ukraine. In parallel, if this massive false flag works, the hegemon will use it to increase pressure. How? Screaming at the top of their lungs. Question. Screaming at the top of their lungs. Milou found some friend over there. Not really a friend, but an invader. I'm not seeing it. I'm not so blind yet. Anyway, how screaming at the top of their lungs on Iran and the DPRK, whose missiles will likely be the perpetrators of the carnage. As much as this seems far-fetched on a maximum stupidistan level, considering the deep dementia ranging from Washington and London to Kiev, it does remain possible, as NATO stand de facto retains the strategic initiative in this war. Russia, for its part, remains passive. It is NATO that is choosing the method, the place, and the time for its key choice strikes. Another classic instance of war of terror. Another classic instance of war of terror is Jihadi outfit and Al-Qaeda spin-off. Ayat Tarif al-Sham in Syria receiving 75 drones from Kiev in exchange for a promise to send a badge of experienced fighters from the post-Soviet space to Donbass. Nothing new on the terror front here. Ukrainian spy Honcho Kirill Budanov lionized the West as some sort of Ukrainian James Bond, is always in close touch with the jihadists in Idlib, as reported by the Syrian newspaper Al Watan. Quote, a subtitle now. Preparing for the Operation Barbarossa remix. In parallel, we had U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell, the Russophobe xenophobe, who invented the pivot to China during the first Obama administration, briefing senior EU and NATO bureaucrats about the military cooperation of the new empire-coined axis of evil, Russia, China, Iran. Campbell focused mostly on Moscow as assisting Beijing with advanced submarine, missile, and stealth know-how in exchange for Chinese supplies. It's obvious that the combo behind the zombie who can even figure out a way to lick an ice cream is unaware of the interlocking military collaboration of the Russia, China, Iran strategic partnerships. Blind as a thousand bats, the combo interprets Russia sharing its so far heavily guarded military know-how with China as a sign of increasing recklessness. The real troubling story behind this mix of ignorance and panic is that nothing originates from the zombie who can even lick an ice cream. It's the Biden combo. That is in fact hard at work to preset the trajectory of the proxy war in Ukraine beyond January 2025. No matter who is elected to the White House, war of terror should be the overall paradigm, while preparations for the real war on Russia continue with their horizon set for 2030, according to NATO's own internal deliberations. This is when they believe they will be at peak power to advance a remixed version of 1941's Operation Barbarossa. These clowns are congenitally incapable of understanding that Putin does not bluff. If there is no option left, Russia will, italics mine, go nuclear. As it stands, Putin and the Security Council, Medvedev's incendiary rhetoric notwithstanding, are deep in the difficult business of absorbing blow after blow to prevent Armageddon. That takes unbounded Taoist patience, shared by Putin, Lavrov, Patrushev, coupled with the fact that Putin plays Japanese Go much more than chess and is formidable tactician. I was looking for the name of Go, and it had nothing to do with Go, or maybe it is, but I don't like the name Go. But anyway, Putin reads NATO stand the demented playbook as if it was a children's story book. In fact, it is. At the fateful moment of maximum benefit across the spectrum for Russia, Putin will order, for instance, the necessary decapitation of the Kiev snake. The non-stop raucous debate on Russian using nuclear weapons essentially hangs on how the Kremlin will consider a NATO missile attack as an existential threat. Neocons and Zyocons, as well as NATO vassals, may desire a nuclear war theoretically, because in effect, this will generate massive depopulation. One should never forget that the WEF Davos gang wants and preaches a reduction of human population globally at humongous 85%. The only path for it is, of course, a nuclear war. But reality is way more prosaic. Cowardly neocons and zyocons, mirroring the example of the Talmudic genocidals in Tel Aviv, at best want to use the threat of a nuclear war to bully especially the Russian-China strategic partnership. In contrast, Putin, Xi, and selected global majority leaders such as Malaysia's Anwar continue to display intelligence, integrity, patience, foresight, and humanity for the collective West and its appallingly mediocre political and bankster elites. It's always about money and profits. Well, that may also be about to change drastically on October 2022 in Kazan at the BRICS summit, when major steps towards building a post-unilateral world should be announced. The talk of the town in Moscow. There is a raging discussion across the board in Moscow on how to end the proxy war in Ukraine. Putin's Taoist patience is heavily criticized, not necessarily by informed observers with inside knowledge of hardcore geopolitics. They don't understand that Washington will never accept key Russian demands. In parallel, when it comes to full denazification of Ukraine, Moscow eventually settling for a mere friendly regime in Kiev does not cut it. There seems to be a consensus that the collective West will not by any means recognize Russia's sovereignty over Crimea, as well as everything conquered in the battlefields of Novorossiya. In the end, the prime evidence is that all nuances of Russia's negotiation plan will be decided by Putin, and that changes all the time. What he proposed quite generously on the eve of that pathetic peace summit in Switzerland in June is not on the table anymore after Kursk. Yeah, definitely. So Kursk changed it all. Everything hangs, once again, on what happens in the battlefields. If rather when the Ukrainian front collapses, the running joke around Moscow will be in effect. Peter the Great and Catherine the Great are waiting. Well, they won't be awaiting anymore, because these were the greats who happen to de facto incorporate what is eastern and southern Ukraine into Russia, and that will seal NATO's cosmic humiliation. Hence the perpetuation of Plan B. No World War III, but a relentless war of terror. And I will keep my battery in 5% now, and I will see what's happening in the rest of Pepe Escobar Telegram. And also, I say some articles from CGTN, my favorite. CGTN, my favorite. Yeah, I'm sorry, Pepe. Yeah, but it's true. Because, I don't know, Chinese people are super competitive. They are super... They are great, you know. I love the... So yeah, just one or two more articles direct from Pepe Telegram. I also remember that definitely Kursk's invasion blow up all. Anyway, Pepe Escobar telegram. The Russell Bentley I knew. Dimitri Sainz Jr., a Sputnik journalist who worked closely with Bentley, shares how he will remember Texas. Russell Bentley was born as an American but became a true hero of the Russian Spring. He was colorful, passionate, possesses a sharp sense of humor, and always spoke with complete moral clarity. Bentley believed that the battle for Donbass was not just a national liberation war of the Russian people, but part of a larger struggle by humanity against Western imperialism. Definitely, I guess. I'm going to read the. Oh, it's bigger. Russia's investigative committee identifies suspects in murder of Sputnik's Russell Bentley. I'm going to read this. The Russian investigative committee has wrapped up the preliminary investigation into the murder of Russell Bentley, 64 years old, U.S.-born Donbass volunteer and Sputnik correspondent. Suspects involved in the criminal case were identified as Russian Armed Forces serviceman Vitaly Vansiatsky, Vladislav Agalsev, Vladimir Bashin, and Andrei Lordanov. The individuals have been accused of felonies under Russia's criminal code, including the use of physical violence and torture, which resulted in the death of the victim, through negligence, as well as the concealment of an especially grievous crime. On April 8, Russian military serviceman Vansiatsky, Algatsev, and Yordanov used physical violence and torture against Russell Bentley in Donetsk, which led to the correspondent's death. So sad. On the same day, Vansiatsky and Agalsev blew up a VAZ 2115 car with Bentley's body with TNT explosives on April 9. Basing, a serviceman from the same military unit, removed Bentley's remains from the scene on the instructions of Vansiatsky in a bid to conceal the heinous crime. The accused have been provided with materials of criminal case. Subsequently, the case will be transferred for the indictment of approval and court hearings. Bentley went to Donbass in 2014 and joined the Donetsk People's Republic (DPR) militia using the call signs Texas. He said that he admired the courage of the Donbass defenders and called Donetsk his home. The U.S.-born volunteer was granted Russian citizenship and began collaborating with Sputnik as a correspondent. He was known as an outspoken supporter of the Russian special military operation in Ukraine. In mid-April, Bentley went missing in Donetsk. On April 19, Margarita Simonian, a beautiful Russian lady, editor-in-chief of Russia Segodnya, Sputnik's parent media group, announced that the 64-year-old had died. An investigation into the circumstances of Bentley's death was launched by the Russian Investigative Committee. And that was all for me about Pepe Escobar telegram. I'm not sure if I have time. I guess I don't have time. Mursi. Mursi, give me a kiss. Mursi gave me a kiss. What about that? I'm going to read really fast some CGTN articles. My favorites. China, September 20, 2024. China-US Economic Working Group convenes fifth meeting. About China-US Economic Working Group held its fifth meeting on Thursday and Friday in Beijing. China's Ministry of Finance said. Yeah, you know, they are partners, kind of. China, September 20, 2024. Chinese Vice Premier meets U.S. delegation of China-U.S. Economic Working Group. File photo of Chinese and U.S. national flags. He Lifeng, Chinese Vice Premier, and China's lead person for China-U.S. Economic and Trade Affairs, met with a delegation led by Jai Shambao, Undersecretary for International Affairs at the U.S. Department of the Treasury on Friday in Beijing. He noted that China and the United States should implement the important consensus reached between the two presidents at their San Francisco meeting and during a phone call in April this year, maintain economic communication and exchanges, strengthen macroeconomic policy coordination, properly handle each other's concerns based on equality and mutual respect, and promote the steady and sound development of China-U.S. economic relations. Shambao, who is in China to attend the fifth meeting of the China-U.S. Economic Working Group, said the U.S. side is willing to maintain economic communication with China and develop healthy economic relations. Healthy economic relations. This is interesting. September 20, World 2024. Batteries of Lebanon walkie-talkies contained PETN explosive, Reuters reports. I guess this could be a lie because I was telling you, I'm afraid of these cell phones, these Western cell phones, even Samsung. I'm afraid of all because you never know. This very cell phone I'm using right now is not recording. You know, it's not. I cannot put the flash. You know how can I keep recording? How can I keep recording without the flash at night? That's impossible. Well, maybe it's the same thing. Nobody watched this show, but I have this very cell phone as I'm being covering all the media about the walkie-talkies and imperialism and World War III and three-front wars, Kurds, Ukraine, Taiwan, and Israel. This stop working. They stopped my show. But here we go. The batteries of the walkie-talkies used by Lebanese armed group Hezbollah that blew up this week were laced with a highly explosive compound known as PETN. A Lebanese source familiar with the device's components told Reuters. The way the explosive material was integrated into the battery pack made it extremely difficult to detect, the source said. Hundreds of walkie-talkies used by the group exploded on Wednesday, a day after thousands of Hezbollah's pagers detonated across the group's strongholds in Lebanon. Pictures of the walkie-talkies that exploded show labels reading ICOM and Made in Japan. ICOM has said it halted production a decade ago of the radio models identified in the attack, and that most of those still on sale were counterfeit. Of course, you know, such a bad business. Woshiki Emoto, the general manager of Ecom Security and Trade Division, told Reuters and another ICOM device might have been modified to make a bomb. Yeah, by who? By Israel. It will be difficult to insert an explosive device into the main compartment of the walkie-talkie because its electronics are tightly packed. So it was more likely to have been in the detachable battery pack. Enomoto told the Japanese broadcaster Fuji TV. The Lebanese source said explosions had occurred even in cases where the battery pack was separated from the rest of the device. A Lebanese security source had earlier told Reuters that the pagers had been implanted with explosives that were difficult to detect. Another security source told Reuters that up to 3 grams of explosives had been hidden in the new pagers, apparently months before the blasts. And that's it. Covers remains of exploded pagers are on display at an undisclosed locations in Beirut's southern suburbs, Lebanon, September 18, 2024. Source Reuters. So you never know, you know. This was I guess Reuters is English, from England. A news watching the face of the whole West, you know. But that's the Chinese version. So, and well, China wants to be friends of the US. So you never know in this world. Maybe I'm not going to China anymore. So sad, the human existence. I want to be a dog now. Forget about me, yeah. Vamos, Luna. Mira. Vamos, mira. Luna. Yeah. I don't understand Luna, why she's like that. Come on, Luna. Another stone for you. Come on.